Talking trees. What do trees have to talk about, except the consistency of squirrel droppings?
Hey there folks, welcome back to the Dice Odyssey. I'm Kaz, and today we're going to be looking at a game with a fairly unique theme on it, and I say that only because I don't see too many games with that kind of theme on it. Photosynthesis. Now this has actually been getting quite a bit of buzz recently. All you have to do is look at that box cover just to understand why at least it's going to draw some people in. It's absolutely gorgeous. The artwork is amazing. It's by Hilmar Hawk, I think I'm saying that right, and Sabrina Mirman, and it's by Blue Orange Games. Now, I myself, I'm absolutely a huge fan of Blue Orange Games. I'm a big fan of New York 1901, and anytime that Blue Orange's name is on a box, I am interested. Had a lot of fun with some of their games, but anyway. This game's all about growing trees and gaining light points and trying to have the most points at the end of the game by growing the greatest amount of trees, having them in the right kind of soil to be able to gain the points from them when you harvest them. It's going to make more sense when you actually get an idea of how it looks at the table. But right when I don't know why, but right when I first saw this game on the table, I was thinking of Gimli and Lord of the Rings. I don't know why, but I was just thinking if these trees could talk, But anyway, let me get you over to the table. I'll show you how the game is played, and we'll get back with my final thoughts.
Are we to leave those poor hobbits here in this horrid, dark, dank, tree-infested... charming. Quite charming. Forest.
Now this is going to be your player board that you start off with. You've got all the different trees lined up on the player board. They have little spots for each one of them. They're going to cost different kinds of light points, okay? You also got seeds that you can get right here. They're going to cost light points as well. And you also have a light point tracker right here, and it just counts how much, and this is basically your currency or your economy if you want to think of it this way. You're going to be able to track how many light points you gather from your trees out on the player board when the sun hits them. You're going to start off with five trees, a medium, and four small ones. I've already put two on the main board here, and then you're going to start off with two seeds. This at the bottom teaches you how much it costs to, how many light points it costs to do two different trees, to grow trees, to plant seeds, and then to harvest them, as a matter of fact. And your whole point in this game is to get the most points, and whoever gets the most points by the end of the game wins. Very simple. Now, if you look here, you've got your sundial here. I call it the sundial, but basically it's just the sun. And it shows you little arrows on here that basically track wherever it stops around the board, because it's going to do several revolutions. It's going to show you that the arrows are pointing down each path, and whatever's upon that path is going to gain light points, okay? Now, in the game, each tree is going to cast a shadow. Currently, these are the small trees out on the board. These are going to cast a one-space shadow specifically, but we're going to get into that here in just a moment. The green trees are both going to gain light points because this one's right here on this row. It's got nothing blocking it, no shadows cast over it from larger trees, so it's going to gain a point. Now, the other player is going to actually gain points as well. They're going to gain 2 points because the small trees gain 1 light point. Now, if you have a medium tree, it's going to gain 2, and if you have a large tree, it's going to gain 3. Okay, and also this tree here, the other player's tree, would cast a 1-point shadow here, or 1 space shadow. I'm sorry. So if this tree here was right here, this tree would cast a shadow on it, and it would not gain any light points. But as it is, it's going to gain a light point. Now, the cool thing is this tree gains a light point for the other player, but if you count the shadow, there's nothing there. Okay. It's casting a shadow on that 1 space, just 1 space away. But if you keep going, this other tree is also gaining light from that, and so it's in the same row. It's going to gain a point. Now, just to give you an example of what I'm talking about with shadows, you see this medium tree here. It's going to cast 2 spaces of shadows. So when the light's going down this area here, this tree is still considered in this tree's shadow, okay? Now, if it was one further, it would be out of its shadow, it would be gaining light. But as it is, it's not going to gain anything this round, okay? And the same thing goes for this the large trees here, okay? This tree here casts a 3 space shadow. So 1, 2, 3. This tree is not gaining any light points. But again, if it was one further down, it would be out of the shadow and it would be gaining a light point. All right? So that's basically how shadowing works. And it doesn't matter if it's your own tree or another player's tree. No matter what, the shadow is going to stop things. Now, in the same vein, if you had a tree, like a small tree, casting a shadow over a bigger tree, that's not going to matter because the big tree is still catching the rays of light, you know. And again, the same thing goes for a medium tree. Even though it's casting a shadow, this large tree is still catching the light, right? Because it's bigger than the medium. So now if it had a same size tree, then that would cast a shadow over that larger tree just because it's of equal height. Now, every round, the sun's going to move a revolution once all players have taken their turns for a round, and then you're going to go ahead and get new light points basically as that has moved. And once you collect those light points, you're going to have several actions that you can possibly take. Now, you can actually go in here and spend light points to buy trees. You can spend light points to buy seeds. And then what you would do, say I spent a light point to buy a seed, I would now place that in my available area, but that does not mean I get to use it now. It just means it is ready for the next round, okay? I can also choose to spend a light point to actually, for example, plant a seed, okay? Now, if I want to plant a seed, I'm basically going to go ahead and pick a tree, and then I can plant it away from whatever, like for example the medium tree, because it does 2 space shadows. I can also plant a seed 2 spaces away. Same thing goes with the small trees. I can plant 1 space away from the small tree any way I want to. I'll give you an example of the 2 space. I could go, okay, I want to go here and then here and plant right here if I want to, okay? Or I could, go straight line. It doesn't matter. You can go in any kind of zigzag or whatever, as long as it works for the 2 space deal from that spot. And once I plant, now you can plant within those 2 spaces. That's not a problem. But now once I plant, that is there. That is my spot. I am good to go. Now, I can't then go ahead and grow that seed right on this round. It has to be a subsequent round, okay? Same thing goes for anything I just now plant or put out on the board. I can't just go ahead and grow it the same round. I have to wait till the next round. Now, for example, if I want to grow this seed into a small tree, again, I have to have it in my available area next to my player board. I can't just take it and buy it and then use it. I have to have it already bought and ready to go from a previous round. But then, let's say I want to grow that seed. Let's pretend it's the next round, okay? Everybody's taking their turns. We're on the next round. We've got our light points. Okay, now I'm going to go ahead and pay a light point, take that seed off the board, and now I have a small tree there, okay? And the same thing goes. I can, if it was already there this round, and I didn't just do what I just did, I can go ahead and go, okay, I'm going to go ahead and pay 2 light points and grow it into a medium tree, and so on and so forth until you get the largest tree you want. Now, this is where the scoring aspect comes into play, okay? You see these little areas on the board, like for example, it's got a 3-leaf area, 2-leaf, 1-leaf, and in the middle is the big kahuna, the 4-leaf spot, okay? It's just basically the different kinds of soil. Well, now that's going to actually lead over here to the point trackers, okay? And the different kinds of point trackers are basically the different kinds of soils that are represented. They're going to be the same color and everything. And then they're also going to have the same type of leaves. For example, you've got these here, which show you in descending order the different kinds of points you can score, okay? What this basically means is this is your strategy. You're looking on the board at different trees that you've got, and if you want to go ahead and harvest them, well, you can choose to do that. Right here, for example, if I choose to harvest, and I mean, I hate to say cutting down, but if I choose to harvest this tree and I take it off the board, that spot is now open to anyone. But now I can go ahead, I pay the four light points to harvest, and now I go ahead and get that 22 points right there that's left over because it matches that symbol and my tree happened to be on it. So that is a way to score, okay? And the same thing goes for any of these other spots on the board. Once you've decided when you're ready to harvest, you go ahead and do so. The only issue is, though, they have to be the largest tree that you have. They can't just be any small or medium. They have to be the large trees before you actually harvest them. So placing your trees out there and growing certain ones on the board are going to be your strategic points in the game to remember. And the game's going to keep going round after round after round. 3 total revolutions of the sun around the board. Player with the most points at the end wins. I absolutely enjoyed this game quite a bit. For me, okay, keep in mind, and I say this in a lot of videos, I'm not a huge abstract game fan. I like some of them. I played a lot of chess when I was younger, things like that. But these days, it really takes a little something extra to get me into an abstract game. It has to have, I mean, obviously great artwork. And I know this is going to sound funny, but sometimes I wish a lot of abstract games had a little bit of a theme on them. And this one tends to do that for me, okay? First off, it's a theme I don't see very often used. I mean, very rarely, honestly. It's a theme about growing trees. And that is a very unassuming theme. And what I mean is it's non-confrontational, yet the theme is non-confrontational, yet the game in and of itself can be kind of cutthroat at times. Now, it doesn't, I think it does that in passing. It's not like you're always intentionally trying to be cutthroat. You're kind of at the mercy of, the sun going around the table, but you're also trying to have some strategic elements in place so you can take advantage of that sun to get the most amount of light points. First off, production quality. Loving the little trees. Didn't get to show all these on the overview. Yeah, they're cardboard, and you wouldn't think that would pop, but once you put it on the board itself is okay. It's decent. It's not enough to draw me over to the table, but once you get these trees out there and it's got that nice 3D effect, yeah, I want to come over and check it out. I really love the idea of that, okay? So yes, these trees are beautiful. Again, the artwork on the box is amazing, but it's really the trees on the board that really does it for me. When it comes to the mechanics, I was saying that a second ago, the strategies in this game are really cool. Do I place my seed out here on a lower tiered point and try to grow that tree all the way up and get that amount of points? Or do I try to work my way towards the middle? Because, again, at the same time, somebody's going to be trying to go for that 4 leaf spot in the very middle that gets you the most amount of points. And so I think that's going to be some of the 3s and the 4 are going to be some of the most fought over places in the game because you're getting a ton of points for it. But at the same time, I've seen somebody do well just going for the 1s and the 2s on the outskirts. It just depends on how much time and effort you put into your strategy. Now, when it comes to the actual part I was talking about when you're being mean, kind of cutthroat, it's, because of the fact that you're going to be able to shadow over other trees at times. The fact that you build up a certain tree at a specific time and you might actually cast a shadow over somebody else who's sitting next to you and you're stopping them from getting light points, that can be kind of mean at times. I mean, again, sometimes you do it in passing, you're not even thinking about it, but at the same time, I've seen people in this game go, well, I'm going to grow this just so not only am I getting tons of light points, but man, they're not going to get any more because I see them gaining a lot with their little trees over here. And so yeah, I really like that element because it does give you a little bit more competition, a tiny bit more interaction in the game than you would normally think in this kind of an abstract game. And I'll say this too, I struggle to call this a straight up abstract game because it seems to have a decent theme. The sun going around the board, trees being certain sizes, gaining more light points, that seems to work for me. The fact that you can overshadow other trees, thematically that makes sense. And then the fact that you actually plant seeds and you can't grow them until the next round. You can't even grow, you can only, use one spot and then you can't touch that spot again until the next round. It thematically works because it's basically showing a passage of time as you go, and I really, really thought that was cool. And I really like the point distribution. I like the idea that the points, these point stacks, are distributed in such a way in descending order. So, somebody who hits it first might get the most amount of points out of that stack, but then, everybody's going to be fighting over those secondary high point scores. And that's really cool because, again, that provides more strategic elements to the game. You're really thinking about where you're going to place your seeds, how quickly you're going to grow certain trees, and you might actually leave some trees to be small or medium just so they can continue to gain light points so you can go ahead and hit the the strategic points on the board that you want to actually harvest those spots. I really like that element to it, right? And I really like the player board. The player board's really nicely laid out, where you're actually able to track your light points, and you're actually able, and it tells you right on the board. It's another thing I liked about it. It tells you right on the board that this is how you do this, and this is how many light points it takes to buy that. And again, the player board in and of itself is like its own character, because it's got the trees coming up off of it. Every aspect of this game is engaging in that way. Now, it's going to make you think. There's going to be times where you're like, oh man, this strategy ain't working. But the cool thing is that you've got enough time in this game. If you see one strategy might not be working, you've got enough time to actually switch it up and to try to go a little bit of a different route, especially if you see somebody going for certain spots and you want to try to block them in terms of the shadowing effect. All in all, this game's a great package. And this game came out of nowhere for me, because again, it's not a game I would have normally gone for, but I've had a lot of suggestions to it. People have recommended it. I said, let me give it a go, see what I think. And man, I came out really enjoying this game. And again, with the fact that it does have a bit of a theme, enough to keep me interested and involved. And the fact that here's another thing. Another thing I like about it is the fact that I really think just about anybody can get into this, right? I think you could play this with your kids. Now, granted, depending on age, right? That the box comes in such a way that you're able to store all the components, specifically the trees, inside the box. You don't have to take them apart. Yeah, they're two pieces of cardboard stuck together, but I mean, I assembled all these trees and it took me a while. It just did. And so I mean, hats off to Blue Orange Games and these designers for doing a great job in making this game so accessible, easy to hop into, and easy to store. And I think this is good for just about any player count. I think if you've got 2 players, you're going to run 30 to 45 minutes. Again, if you're actually good at the game and you know what you're doing, I think you can significantly cut that time down like any game. But again, I think it's a decent family weight style game, at least in my opinion. And I think you're going to love it. I really do. If you like an abstract feel to a game with a decent enough theme, and another thing, you also have a decent economy on there as well with the light point system. I've never thought of an abstract game having something like that personally, but in this game it really works. As of right now, this game is getting a solid 8 out of 10 from me. I give it a high recommendation. But anyway, that's going to be all from me. Thank you so much for watching the Dice Odyssey videos. And hey, have you actually had a chance to play this game? Have you heard about it? Do you like abstract games? Do you like slightly thematic abstract games? Let me know down in the comments. And you guys, y'all have a blessed day, and you game away.